Hello everybody, time for something a bit different than what I do usually. Last time I did a fodder tier list. I still have to kind of update this because a few people did point out a few things I was wrong on, which I do agree with. This time around though, I will be talking about the summoning pool and essentially what I would do myself to fix the pool, because right now the pool is horrible. There are a lot of problems with it, random pity breakers that are just not really good. Looking at you, Luke. Other than that, just the fact that it lowers rate overall for when you're pulling heroes, especially now, is gruesome. 2.52, like it's something like 2.55% for a 5-star focus, and the unfocus rate is 4.08%. You have more chance of getting pity fisted than you do getting the actual fucking unit. Man, gotta love having odds against you. Which, yeah, they need to demote a few reds, that's for sure. There's no reason you should have 37 5-star exclusives for a single color. Like, hello? I've also got a few screenshots I plan on using that are going to be showing stats characters would have if they were demoted. Those screenshots have been, well, provided by a friend of a friend, I guess. A YouTuber by the name of, how do I pronounce this? J-Ake, I'm going to guess. Managed to get a friend of his to basically edit characters in and force them to be 3-star while they're normally 5-star exclusive. This was mostly to see what skills they would have at 4-star, what skills would be at 5-star. So I have a better judgment of where units should go in. That particular part was the reason it took a bit of time, if not a lot of time, for me to actually get this video together, because I'll be honest, a lot of dataminers they don't want to help too much. Whenever there's a lot to do, they're like, I'm just gonna ignore the dude. It's not great, to say the least. Like I asked Zanuck, didn't bother to just answer in general. I asked Kaz Kirigiri, no answers either. Radio silence. Someone that actually do go on Sage's Discord by the name of Leah was basically my only source of those screenshots beforehand. And she did her best to help me, but the problem is her computer kinda died. So I was not really able to ask her to get me screenshots as a result. Which ended up being like, I could use a few screenshots she gave me a long time ago, which were pretty useful. It's actually the inspiration of this video to begin with, because I was like, oh, I can actually see the skills, so I could actually make something interesting as a result. Now, I'll be completely honest, this is pretty experimental, so I might be wrong on some things. So, yeah. Oh, also, she actually had a Discord of people that could have helped, and none of them wanted to help. Isn't that a great fucking time to be alive? God damn it. So, yeah, you can imagine how much it was frustrating to me, if anything. Nothing I could really do there. They're the one that could actually provide the service. I am only able to receive it. Thank you. Thankfully, though, J-Ake, I'm never going to get used to this name, actually did provide... Well, did provide a friend sounds a bit wrong, but it did manage to actually help me on that regard, so thank you very much. Now, to get to the actual video, I'm going to actually do something that has not been added yet. I've basically cut them down to every category. Seasonal, Legendary, and Asker-chan will just stay where they are. There's nothing I can really do with them. Tempest Trial, GHB, I do want to do something with them. And obviously the pool is what we're here for to begin with. So, I'm going to be adding a new tier. 4-star exclusive. Now, the reason why I'm doing this is because I'll be completely honest here. It's required at this point. 4 to 5-star units are not a good idea whatsoever. They bloat the 5-star pool, and in Red's case, make it hit 40 units in the 5-star pool. And essentially, it's like you're fine getting them at 4-star. They generally have good enough either IVs or fodder or something that can actually be used. Getting them at 5-star is a slap to the face. Like, no one wants to pull a 5-star Ares unless they're building a 5-star plus 10 to begin with, which is more the minority than the majority to begin with, right? Why is that a 4 to 5-star unit? You gain nothing from 5-starring him to fodder something. Seal, attack, death, I believe, is what he has. Does not help in any way, shape, or form. So, obviously, I'm going to make it 4-star exclusive. Same thing can really apply to Soleil, honestly. Because, I'll be honest, it's just bloating the pool. No one is really happy pulling a 5-star Soleil unless they never built one, and if you haven't, you are either a new player or someone that just never bothered, because Soleil is one of those units you will most likely build. The problem is, if you already have her built, it's worthless, and it's so easy to already build her because she's 4-star exclusive. Well, 4-star to 5-star, sorry. Same thing here. I'm actually going to make them all 4-star exclusive because, honestly, who wants to pull a 5-star Lure Shell? No one. Who wants to pull a 5-star Teltune? This one is actually good because Blade Tomes are still just as broken as ever. But it still blows the pool. It still makes it harder to actually summon what you want to summon. And it doesn't help. Legault is another case of Ares, really good fodder, but when you make it 5-star, you get no new fodder that matters. Soph, on the other hand, does have good fodder. Spur attack speed is fantastic, but I feel like not enough people would care, so yeah, 4-star exclusive for Nana as well. Drive Def is fantastic, but yet again, getting her at 5-star does not help whatsoever. You will see the 4 to 5-star unit pool is going to be pretty empty because, like I said, all it does is clog up space, make it harder to summon the actual 5-star unit, which you should want to get, and just overall, it's a pain. You don't really get enough out of it, which is a big problem. Now, I'm gonna go for the 3 to 4-star pool, and I'll be removing a few units from that pool as well, because as everyone and their mother realized, this is a terrible idea. The reason why I say this is because, look, 3 and 4-star being Seliph, or like Athena, or like Laszlo, it doesn't really help all that much. Those are units you will want to have maybe a copy, 2 copies at best, and the fact that they're in the 3-star pool just clogs it up. We have a total of, oh, I don't know, 28 units? So you have 1 chance out of 28 of getting Fury fodder. Yeah, 1 chance out of 28 for Wings of Mercy 3. Now, I'm not saying every unit should be removed from the 3 to 4-star pool and just make place to stuff like Fury, like Wings of Mercy, stuff like this. I'm saying it is too bloated. The reasoning behind what I'm going to do with this pool, and I'm not going to do that immediately on the video, is purely to tin it up so you have more chance of getting good stuff. 4-star in general is very common. You have more chance of pulling a 4-star than a 3-star. So why not make the 3-star a pool where you get general fodder, essentially, and 4-star just basically anything. Because that way, if you do not get a smoke, you get a consolation prize, which is most likely good fodder that you will actually be using, right? You win that way, in a sense. So that's why I'm actually making a 4-star exclusive, because otherwise it would be 3 to 4, I would have to put them to 4 to 5, which no one wants that. Ooh, look, I want Ellwood to be a 5-star possible pull. No, get out of here. Just get out. Anyway, onto the Demotion. So this is going to be a bit annoying because I do have to go to my OBS every time I want to turn a picture off, but alright. Katarina. Katarina gets Swift Sparrow at 5-star and Attack Ploy at 4-star. Attack Ploy is not in the pool whatsoever. The only way you get to have it at 4-star is Julius. Now, I find it great that GHB units are, you know, giving you good fodder, but I feel like a lot of people tries to build them up because they are a unit they like. So, having to rely on characters like Julius is kind of a mistake in my opinion, but you don't have other choices. Are you going to pull a Katarina, kill her for Attack Ploy? No, that's too expensive. So, of course, I'm going to lower her down to 3 to 4-star. Now, you might be wondering why I lower her this much. Well, no, not you, Katarina-chan. This is because we already have an Althome in the green pool, in the blue pool. Obviously, those two ones don't really have great fodder. Bowie has only, you know, Runnerwall 2 and Earth boost, yay, and May has Desperation 2 and Blue Tome experience. However, the thing is, Katarina requires to be 5-star for Swift Sparrow, which is a skill that is over a year old. Can we have more A slot in the 5-star, not in the 5-star, in the 3 to 4-star pools? Like A slot that actually do something. Like Brazen Attack Death is the first time we got a new relevant skill available at 4-star. Everything else has been stuck to 5-star for quite some time, hasn't it? This is a problem, because then you have no build diversity. Why do you think fucking Fury is on every set ever? Because there's nothing better. There's no other option for other set. It kills build creativity and should just change. Now, Katarina admittedly has really good fodder, which is why I put her in 3 to 4-star, because let's be honest, Red does have some of the best pool when it comes down to fodder, but it tends to be just rudimentary fodder, which is the problem. Anyway, with that said, I'm going to switch to, let me just see who's on the list, Eldigan. This is another unit I'll be downing to 3 to 4-star. I don't think I have to explain. Now, I did say build diversity and all, but it's true that Fury is extremely relevant, especially in this current meta where life and death is more of a detriment than a use for you, because mages just get DC'd to death, essentially, a lot of time. Unless, you know, you sacrifice res to keep your defense. And even then, with life and death, you just die. Like, just look at Katarina, for example. Life and death would make that 10 defense. You're not thinking anything with DC. Even green unit will one-shot your ass. So Fury becomes a bit better as a result. Even for Katarina, Swift Sparrow is not great outside of I want to score high in arena, you know? And at the same time, this would give somewhat of a purpose to Feathers. Because I'll be honest, after you build your first main core of arena, unless you want to just plus 10 some units, right? You don't have much of a reason for Feathers. I've maxed every unit 0 merit outside of Jenny. This much is widely known. And I'll be honest, I haven't gotten any lower than 140k Feathers in months because I don't have a reason to use them. The only time I use them up is just because I want to add new 5-star skills to a certain characters. Like Lashisis was one big one that I did. 400k feathers went into her because I just really like her. But that's just it. If you have reasons to spend feathers, like Swiss Bear would become, this is a plus. And like I said, she does bring a lot to the table as a result. Now, Eldigan is by no means a good unit anymore. It's a slightly better Xander, which lost most of his luster, let's be honest here. And it's just not great. I have a +10 of him. I gave him Dark Mistletoe, and yes, he does pull in work, but that's because he's +10. I do feel like 3 to 4 star sounds about appropriate, because Fury is a really important skill to get by. So, yeah. Next up, we have Carol. Oh boy, Carol. Now, yeah, this is disappointing, isn't it? He does not get Desperation 3 at 4 star. In fact, no unit I expect to be demoted the way I'm going to go about it is going to have Desperation 3 at 4 star. There is one unit I want to demote, but I don't see IS demoting it, so. Because they're like, ooh, we're stubborn, Chan. Screw you. Screw the rules. We have money. But to explain how I feel about Carol, Carol is basically a worse Fur, and Fur can actually have IVs easily. He also does not bring much to the table, not much fodder. He's just sort of there. I'm not saying he's a bad unit. You can actually use him to use Panic Ploy a bit consistently, and he does have Nameless Blade, which is good if you can actually merge and, you know, cherry pick IVs, which is something you cannot do if he's 5-star exclusive. So that's why I would demote him. He's going to be a 4-star exclusive unit, however, because he does not exactly bring a lot to the table, and he's a bit more of a niche use character. He can be pretty fun to use with Panic Ploys and boost skills in general, but outside of that, he does not have a lot to bring home, does he? So, yeah. Next I'm going to go about Leo. Leo gives Quick Repose 3 at 4 star. 3 to 4 star units, because we don't have enough QR in the pool. Let's be honest here. QR is a very sought after skill. A lot of characters use it. It does give a lot of flexibility to a lot of sets. And I'll be honest, I can say this a bit better since now I've been playing on an alt that plays free to play. Getting QR fodder is a nightmare. You get more unit that likes to use QR than you do, well, QR fodder more often than not. So yeah, it would be nice to have more QR fodder in the pool. So obviously this would be good. And Leo as a whole is very underwhelming as a unit. Let's be real here. He's even his refine is just why. His refine only works against mages. If you're going to use him as an AA counter to mages, well, good luck finding them. And if you do find them, usually it's, you know, the armored one, which have higher base defense than he does. So that means unless you have a Death Plus, and most likely, hopefully merged up Leo, his weapon is useless. And if they have Blade Tome, well, let's just say he does not have a whole lot of HP, does he? So, yeah, it's kind of a problem. Now, let's move next. I'm going to go through all the reds that I got cards for. Next is BK Crom. As you can see, Chill Def is at 5 star. It's kind of in the corner of one of the screenshots. Sword Valor is also 5 star, but Fury is 4 star. However, BK Crom is a bit too strong of a unit, in my opinion, to actually be 3 to 4 stars. So I would actually make him 4 star exclusive. Yes, I'm basically bloating the pool on purpose for 4-star exclusives. So it's a bit harder to get the one you want. So I can kind of balance out the fact that, you know, the 4-star pool starts to get really solid unit. So yeah, BK Chrome is fantastic. That would be an extra Fury fodder, and I feel like you don't really need a third one in the pool, honestly, at that point. And at the same time, it would also make Sword Valor a bit more accessible. Shield Def as well, which already has been given through Wallheart anyway, so yeah, that would be fantastic. Lucina. Let me just do this one real quick. We have Mass Morph, and if you've been there since the start of the game, you have a +3 one at the very least, and +8 at the very top. Why is she in the pool? If you have a +8 Mass Lucina, you basically destroy base Lucina. In terms of utility, it's basically as if you had a Lucina with boons and everything. Who cares about base Lucina at that point unless you built her? And at that point, getting a pity break of her is not really good. It does give you an option for Arena Assault, but I feel like that's about all it does. Yes, it's a waifu in the franchise, who cares? She does not bring much to the table. I mean, unless you consider Spur Attack 3 as a fantastic skill. Obviously, I do not have a card for her. I prioritized characters who actually had good skills for those cards because it is tedious to actually get those cards ready. And it is tedious to actually get the screenshot from, you know, someone else. Because that's the only thing you can really do. Unless I learn how to edit the game, which I guess I could, but it feels like it would be a bit too complicated for me. I'm not very tech savvy, and there's a lot of problem I have with my computers at times, so I'd rather avoid going in that kind of high-tech stuff. So yeah, 4-star unit. It also would mean you have more options against Dragon, which Dragons have been cancerous lately, let's just put it that way. Now, next is Brave Roy. This is the one I feel like will not get demoted. However, he should be demoted. Let's be honest here. Let's compare him to good old Siegbert 34-35, 32-34 with his weapon 35-34. It's basically the same, isn't it? Except Heavy Blade is a goddamn seal, not Swift Sparrow, so... Oh, and also Siegbert actually has a death stat. Why the fuck would you ever use Roy over Siegbert if you had the choice between the two of them? Brave Roy is inherently inferior. The only thing he has going for him is the fact that he comes with Gale Force and Desperation. Also Heavy Blade built in, which is great and all, but he's been basically power creep to hell and back nowadays. So I feel like he should be a 4-star exclusive, because he's still a solid unit, and he does give Desperation 3, and Gale Force fodder, so you have more option outside of Cordelia. So, yeah. Still not weak enough to be 3 to 4-star, obviously, but this should be a decent enough fit. Next up is going to be good old Saber, Shield Pulse fodder. My fucking god, Shield Pulse fodder. Shield Pulse can do a lot of interesting sets, and really like pushes you to go to very outside the beaten path kind of builds. For example, I think it's Circle that had a Aegis or a no, I think it's an Aegis Shield Pulse Corin that could basically deal with mages. This is the same concept, really. Shield Pulse would be fantastic to have in the pool. The fact that it's 5-star exclusive, or Fjorm, which you should never fucking kill, because of how Arena Score works, is deplorable. And also, he's kind of like just a Minerva, with just way more competition than Minerva. Not access to emblem buffs, and on top of this, just overall underwhelming. He basically has the same stat line, but actually, you know, Minerva has a legendary weapon that has a refine, On top of that, she is on a flyer, she can have access to goads. He's just all around not great. Obviously though, those builds are a bit too niche, and it's also lugged behind 5-star, so I feel like 4-star exclusive should be a good choice. Alright, who else do we have in red? Ah yes, Fallen Celica. I am not planning on demoting her, but I wanted to actually point out the fact that chill speed would be locked to 5-star. She is fairly average at best, if not at times under average, unless you replace her weapon, and even then she's just kind of not great. I'm not saying this because I'm shitting on her, but she does struggle. Her stats are a bit too balanced. It works well with Beloved Sophia, but after the first fight, it's dead. So you basically end up as a worse Cordelia, kinda, which is laughable. Still, I'll keep her in the 5-star pool because chill speed, is a bit too relevant and has not been in the 4-star pool yet at all. It's also not that old of a skill, so I feel like 5-star is warranted in this case. Moving on to Luke, everyone's favorite gotta love the Luke meme. Yeah, he was below average when he got released. The only thing he had going on was Panic Ploy and Fire Boost, which Fire Boost is on him and seasonals. For some reason, 3 characters have that skill. I don't know why they were pushing Fire Boost all that much, but whatever. It's not great though. I can't tell you that much. Panic Blow would be great to have in the pool because, you know, all we have is Zelgius, which you shouldn't kill, and Luke, which you don't want to pull because that's just killing your pity rate for a skill that is a seal as well, which makes it really hard to want to actually get him just for a skill, is it? So I would make him 4-star exclusive because Panic Boy is a bit niche at times outside of armors and arena, but it is definitely a good skill, just does not need to have that many that many copies in the 3-star pool. So this should be good enough. Now, moving on to Lynn. Now, I'm basically done with the reds that actually have relevant skills on Demotions. We all know that Gale Force is obviously going to be locked to 5-star. So all we have left is Defiant Attack, I think, and Spur Speed. What top tier skills are these? Obviously, I'm going to make her 4-star exclusive. Again, waifu treatment, but also because you don't want to contaminate the 3-star pool, obviously. Now, Ryoma is still way too good to this day. He's kind of falling slowly into irrelevance, obviously. But no, I feel like DC is still very relevant, at least in PvE content. And he does have a very solid stat line for that, at the very least. Now, if only he could have had a better Reginto to pass down to this variant on his legendary unit, but, you know, that's not happening, ever, so yay. Gray is also a unit I wish to demote. He does come with Wind Boost, which is locked to 5-star, by the way, and Sword Valor, which is 4-star, by the way. I know this much, I didn't bother to actually add the screenshot because I felt like it's kind of irrelevant. I can just like point that out for this one. It's not bad, but it's mostly the fact that he has a solid stat line. Pretty bulky, decent attack, good speed, like good enough speed anyway. Good enough HP. If you refine a weapon, you basically have 35, 35, and 48 HP. Or a lot of defense. There's a lot of ways to go around this boy, and Zenbato should be also in the 3 to 4-star pool. So that's why I'm going to downgrade him to 3 to 4-star, obviously. Next up is Alm. Alm is really solid, and I feel like because of his refine, he should stay where he is. Especially since Death Blow 4 is now a thing, so you can now just pussy break more dragons. So, you know, typical stuff. Ike, again, as DC, which is too good. MET is still a very broken weapon, and with her stat line, she can also run Fire Sweep, which is another solid option on her. Or, again, slaying with Gale Force. There's a lot of ways to go around it. It's basically the Cordelia of this, but having a legendary brave weapon. She is just as good. Sigurd is debatable, I would say. He is very fantastic when it comes down to PvE content, but in PvP, the higher you go, the less relevant he becomes. His stat line is fantastic, mind you, but it's also kind of his bane. Crusader's Word and his weapon only works against Tome, which is a huge bane to him. Honestly, I would say also Death Minus is a fantastic bane for him, which is really weird to say, but that is the case. The reason why I point this out is because a lot of people seem to think Res Minus is the best bane, which is true in PvE content where you're dealing with mages. If you're not dealing with mages, because, you know, there are other things that hits your res outside of mages, Crusader's Ward and his weapon are basically worthless, in which case he might struggle with even Green Dragon. So yeah, that's why you kind of want to go Death Minus instead of Res Minus as a result. Just thought I'd point that out. Still, I would say 4-star unit would be too good for him, because he has close defense, he's very solid, the best BST out of any horse unit of this game. That is really weird, but that's the case because he has Choose Your Legend BST and not Gen 2 BST. Yes, he's considered a Choose Your Legend unit for whatever reason. Gen 2 BST for horse unit is 157, he has 159. Don't ask me why, he still can't hit 160 BST, so he doesn't score better than any others, but I thought it would be worth mentioning. Still, like I said, close defense, really solid mage counter, so I'd still hesitate putting him in, obviously, you know, 4-star. He's gonna stay in the 5-star pool. Ira is... let's skip this. This is basically no point in me explaining. She is still the second best sword unit of this game. No contest, no debate. The only character that's better than her is Zelgus. So, yeah. Mia is also fantastic offensively, so I would also keep her there, I'd say. She also has Flashing Blade, which is now a seal. I do realize this, but Resolve Blade is still 19 might in a Wodao effect. That said, a lot of people do replace her weapon for slaying, so because this is more consistent. Either that, or they just basically use Wrath and let it charge Aether for them, because that's basically the only type of gameplay you can do with her, which is a sad part, but it's basically really all you have to do here, all you can do. I would say she's just kind of a slightly better Lonku though, at the end of the day, so I would actually... I'm really debating actually downgrading her to 4-star. Because, let's be honest here, this is Lonku. He has a lot less defense, but for the rest, if you have an attack plus Lonku, you have effectively a Mia without the legendary weapon. Yeah, except you have more health as well to make up for the defense and res. So, I don't know. I think I'd put her at 4-star exclusive. Siegbert obviously is one of the best sword cav offensively outside of, you know, Reinhardt. So I'm gonna keep him there. Zelgus is still the best unit of this game, period. That is still no debate. Fallen Celica we already spoke about. Leaf is... I'm sorry, bud. You poor fool. I would also downgrade him to 4-star, honestly. Lightbrand is a fantastic weapon when it works, which is the problem. It's relying on your enemy, which is never a good thing. Kara's weapon is far more reliable as a result, because her speed is so good and it's relying on her speed. which is something you can actually control rather than, you know, whatever you're trying to control, I guess, with Leaf. Leaf has the objectively worse legendary weapon and a debatably worse stat line. I would say Leaf has actually a slightly better stat line than Carla, so just because he has a bit more bulk, and his weapon does increase this said bulk, he also has decent HP. His attack and speed are barely lower than Carla, but the facts still remain, he can actually take far more of a beating than Carla, so yeah. Actually, I think I'm going to put back Mia on the 5-star poll, because for the most part, it's basically the same reasoning. It's kind of a hard call to make for Mia, honestly. She's still pretty solid, so... Lene is still one of the best dancers of this game, in my opinion, so I would actually keep her where she is. Especially with a Death Boon, you have 27-28. With Safeguard, you hit 34-28, so you have decent amount of bulk, and then you can refine it, 34-32, if you refine it to res. So, she is still decently good. Carla is pretty damn solid. I would say she is not exactly on Ira level. I keep saying this, but for people who are new here, the way I consider Carla versus Ira is Carla will outclass Ira on the first fight. But every fight afterward, Ira will have the upper hand, because once she is wounded is when she is the most dangerous. Because she still has the bulk to take a hit afterward, and can still proc 2 Ragnall Astra in a row with Wrath combo. So she does a lot, and I mean a lot of damage. So, next up is Olivia. Same thing as Lene, I would keep her there. Oh, and Celica, which, again, no reason to touch her. She is actually, in my opinion, better than Carla, just because her offense is just so strong with double iron and DB4. After the first fight, she also still has a decent amount of HP, since usually she will kill with the first 2 hits due to double iron. So, as a result, unlike Carla, she'll actually still have most of her HP intact, and will be able to go for a second fight. Carla, on the other hand, even if she's fighting a green, will lose, give or take, almost all of her health. And if she's dealing with a blue, if she has to take a blow, she might actually just die. That's the problem. Unless you have, obviously, bulk support to make up for it. So yeah, definitely still worth the 5-star. Celica used to be actually one of the best red mage, but the problem with this version of Celica is that, well, let's just say, one of her best kit was basically running Renewal to heal back up, so she could use Ragnarok again. DC became so much more widespread, it's kind of nuts. I do not know which skill she has open at 4-star, but I do not think it's distant defense. I did not bother to check, I should have, but oh well. Honestly, still, she is a good 4-star unit. It's the kind of unit that basically hit once and then she's basically done, unless you have healer support, which is kind of a recurring theme with all of the Celicas. Like, Positive Celica is fantastic if you have a healer. If you don't, well, she's better off with literally any weapon but her own. So yeah, 4-star. And honestly, at any rate, distant defense has been in the game for, what, over a year? At this point, who cares? DD3 is not even that great anymore, which, yeah, just stop putting so much value to it. Next is Sanaki, which... TA and own attack boys, also Orange Command, the best assist. Obviously, it's going to go in the 4-star pool. The reason why I'm saying 4-star and not the 3 to 4-star is because she's kind of Lilina, but slightly worse outside of if you run specific unit. And even at that point, she is not much better. she should basically have an easier time getting IVs, definitely at this point, because goddamn, she is struggling. Alright, next up is young Tiki. I feel like her place is deserved. She is a very balanced unit, but the fact that she's a dragon means adaptive damage, which means ranged units are usually fucked. She also has access to Breath of Fog. Obviously, the adult version can do the same and can be a slightly better defense tank. 100% true, however, she can also deal with magic, which means she can also deal with green dragons, which is a problem for, you know, adult Tiki. The problem with adult Tiki is you're either running Lightning Breath or you're running Breath of Fog with DC for dealing with ranged units. And if you're dealing with melee units a lot, you have to switch to Steady Breath. Steady Breath means you score less in Arena, which can be a problem, and also it's just in general not going to help you unless you run Breath of Fog. Breath of Fog will one-shot Grima, but if you run Lightning Breath to deal with DC units, you can do that, obviously. Tiki kind of just has so much res, she just can run Lightning Breath and be fine in a lot of cases. Breath of Fog is still an option, obviously, and will help her score higher with DC, so there's also that. Next up is the blue color, and before I actually start using cards again, I'm going to speak about Azura. For some reason, the people at IS decided that she was worth, you know, putting on the legendary banner, and a lot of people were wondering why I was angry at that. It's quite simple. Azura has the worst color for a dancer possible. She does not deal with many red threats, and anything that's blue and green tend to just one-shot her ass unless you build her defense and or build your team around buffing her defense to make up for her problems. Another problem is the fact that dragons are the only other thing that she can somewhat defend against, but even that is kind of short-lived when you realize that her speed is so low. Wind Sweep with young Tiki and or some younger young Tiki is usually going to just ignore this completely, to a point where she does not really have enough HP to deal with anything. Her speed is too low to double anything consistently, and even if you run Swordbreaker and Sapphire Lens, a lot of red just one-shots her ass. If they don't, they tend to just be able to tank her just fine, which... what the fuck? You have base Sapphire Lance, and you have Swordbreaker, and you struggle with reds. I believe there's a problem here. Ira can one-shot her with Ragnalastra, obviously. Like, in Zelagus, well, that one kind of depends, since Triangle Combat can kind of fuck up Black Luna a lot. Still, this is definitely a problem for her, and I do not consider her to be this good. However, I'm still going to put her in the 3 to 4 star pool. The reasoning behind this is because when you're a new player, dancers are almost everything. If you pull one, even a shit one, it's good. And the fact that we only really have one dancer in the pool right now that's readily available, because a lot of them are either seasonal or they're not Olivia, because Olivia is the only one available at 3 star, which I would like to point out. Olivia is still, to this day, in my opinion, the best dancer overall, and she's the only one that's free on top of this. Why is Azura 5-star exclusive? It's literally a worse variant. She was only slightly better at the launch-up game, and even then, that was debatable. Specials could just run her through like it's nothing, which always was a problem. Moving on. I just realized I should have asked Old Flyer Inoka. I am so dumb. Though, actually, no. That's fine. So, Ninian has Fortified Dragon locked at 5 star. She is also a dancer, and she also struggles. She struggles because a lot of powerful falchion user exist now, especially with Seal Falchion, especially with Bone Falchion, especially with Marth now existing. And on top of that, you have Naga if she runs TA, so it's kind of a very awkward and precarious situation. Now, I'm not saying she is horrible, she is definitely on a better spot than Azura, but I feel like it's been long enough. This attack, this defense, this speed is just not enough. Even that res is very shaky at this point. The only good thing she has is her HP, which... no, I'm demoting you to 3 to 4 star. Again, that way you have 3 dancers for your new players, which is definitely welcome. It's still not enough to cover everything a new player will want, obviously, because they're blue, which is struggling against units in general. But it still gives you somewhat of an option for Arena Assault, which is definitely welcome, especially since a lot of new players just does not even bother with Arena Assault. The main problem with Arena Assault is just you need a lot of different teams, and having a dancer is pretty easy to build and gives you a lot of options. Those are also easy target for blessings for Arena Assault because you will most likely use them a lot. Especially with the advent of blessings, even me who has what, like 12 dancers? I have every dancers in the game. I don't know how many there is though. But even then, I'd still bless them all if not for the fact that I don't have space. Or rather, I don't have blessings left. So yeah, well, that's fun. Still, like I said, it's definitely a good option for new players. Coming up next is Shiro. Now, this unit should have demoted, honestly, in the banner it came with. Soleil was better than him in every way, shape, or form, in my opinion. But the father spoke otherwise. The reason why Steady Stance would be in the pool would be fantastic is you can actually rentabilize your the whole, you know, I want to use multiple things from Bravebike. Right now, as it stands, there is no Steady Stance fodder unless you kill a 5-star or a 4-star BK, which, if you even still have that, for some obscure reason, so it ends up being like you have to give Steady Breath, Steady Stance 2, Steady Stance 1 to give Steady Breath. Now, if Shiro was in the pool, this allows you to kill him for Steady Breath 1 and maybe Death Tactic 1 too, and then kill Bravebike for Steady Stance 2, Steady Breath, and Aether. So you have a bit more use from this, and Death Tactic should be available outside of 5-star exclusive to this at this point. Rest Tactic has been in the pool for a long ass time, even though that unit came out like what, a month or 2 after Shiro? Like, come on. So obviously I'm going to make him 3 to 4 star, because if we're talking unit-wise, he's kind of just a worse Lucas. He's basically Lucas, but very horribly min-maxed. What I mean by this is, his lens doesn't give him too much of an edge. And while he's still useful for AA, because blue walls are just that good, his speed doesn't tend to do enough when it matters, which is kind of a problem. Lucas is basically a whole lot more min-max, has 3 more defense, 8 points less wasted in speed, and as a result also have, you know, if I can find this boy, you know, 4 more health. The only thing you can say that Shiro pulls better than Lucas is the Berkut's lens set. The problem with that is that requires a GHB unit, which is not exactly available, is it? And also, that's kind of a niche set to begin with. So at the end of the day, unless he's 3 to 4 stars so you can fish for IVs for set, it's just objectively worse than Lucas. Yes, he does have a legendary weapon that gives him 4 attack and defense when attacked, That's cool, but the problem is that slaying Lance can give you 4 defense and 5 HP. At this point, the only thing that Shiro gets from his Lance over a slaying Lance is 4 attack. And it's a very, very costly 4 attack because first off, while the 4 defense of slaying Lance is multi-phase, his is only enemy phase. And on top of that, he does not get this cooldown -1. And on top of that, because of his speed, he doesn't usually get double, which means Ignis is less consistent. And or if you want to be specific, Steady Breath Bonfire doesn't proc twice if required, which is something Lucas can actually pull off due to his extremely low speed. It's also a problem because if you go speed minus, first off, that's a super bane. At least I believe so. And it still doesn't really help you enough to get doubled. And at that point you get doubled by more stuff. It's a very awkward amount of speed, essentially, is what it comes down to. Because essentially it reduces your Bane possible to res, which is not great. It's a terrible idea. But, I mean, yeah, you can still go speed minus, but at this point, why don't you just build Lucas? He just does the same job, but better, right? That's the big problem with Shiro in general. It's just not really bringing anything new to the table, and other characters does its job better. Coming up next is Loot. Now, this would mean Resploy at 4-star, which is not a thing at all. Even with GHB units in mind, all we have is Attack Speed and Death Ploy, which is Attack Ploy Julius, Speed Ploy Sias, and Death Ploy Arvis, which are all GHB units. You don't have access to them in the 4-star pool that are summonable whatsoever. I would also like to point out the fact that look at the amount of option you have as a free-to-play player for Mage when they are blue. Rarity is average, I suppose. Teltue is pretty solid, but that's only one blue mage, and then you have Reinhardt, obviously, who is extremely amazing. But then you're going down to stuff like Mei and Robin and Odin. You need to have more blue mage in the pool that's readily accessible. Let's be honest here. And Loot is certainly not that amazing overall, because if you're going to go for a damage set, which requires Blade Tome, Delphia does her job better to begin with. Lynn does her job better to begin with. So the only thing she has to go for her is her ploy set. That's cool, but it doesn't bring enough to the table where it matters most. Like I said, Resploy would be accessible as her if she was a 4-star unit, which is definitely a great idea, but also gives more available options when it comes down to blue mages. I do also want to point out that your best option for a res tank is like this fucking guy, this guy, which again not really great, La Rochelle, which you usually want to actually lose res for speed, because that doesn't hurt your matchup against dragons, or Mei, which likewise. I think you see the problem here. And even for Loot, res minus tends to be a better bane, but at the very least, you still have so much res you can actually tank stuff, and you can actually use ploys pretty consistently. So, obviously this is pretty solid. So that's why I made her a 4-star exclusive. Or, wait, where are you? Oh, I'm fucking blind. Hello, Loot. Next up is Delphia. Now, Delphia is a fun one. She has Drive Attack at 5-star, which sucks, but she does have Death Blow at 4-star. So, the fact that you have Death Blow at 4-star is fantastic to begin with, but on top of that, you have Drive Attack, which is not in the pool yet. That's pretty readily available. And Delphia doesn't bring that much to the table, does she? Again, she does not exactly bring a whole lot. Teltue can do more or less her job for the most part, and even has a bit more speed and a bit more freedom for IVs. This is why I consider her worth going down to 4-star, and obviously Death Blow 3 is kinda unique to Klein right now, even though it's a pretty solid skill. Obviously not for everyone, but if they're going to add stuff like Death Blow 4 to the pool, there should be more option open to get like the first few sets of Death Blow, obviously. So that's why I'm going to put her down to 4-star, because I'll be honest, I would put her to 3 to 4-star, but the fact that she has good IVs, the fact that she has good skills kind of prevents me from doing so. Let me also get this out of the way. Lind is a fantastic unit, no doubt, but considering Nino is available to 3 to 4-star and she has slightly better stat in a color that's I don't want to say bad, but not really great either, to deal with stuff, unless you have a Blade Tome in support, to deal with stuff like Zelgus, she will struggle, especially with her very, very low defense stat, especially with the fact that, you know, 35 HP doesn't do shit. A Blue Dragon with 49 attack kills this. If you have Fury, 52 attack kills still, which is struggling to say the least. And like I said, we need to have more blue mages in the pool in general. Like, this has been an ongoing problem since the start of the game. Outside of Reinhardt, who was readily available to begin with, you basically had nothing until Tell2 was added. Reinhardt, and then like your second best choice was like Mei and then Robin. Wow, what a disgrace that was. Next up, I will also talk about Olwen. Olwen has reposition. Having reposition in an extra color would be fantastic, not to mention, she's basically a worse Reinhardt. She can use Blade Tome very fantastically, that is a fact, but I don't feel like it should warrant the fact that she is a 5-star exclusive. Now, Micaiah actually has a niche as a Zelgus counter and a lot of other dragons, so I'm actually going to keep her there. Next up is going to be Morgan. Oh boy, do I have a whole lot of screenshots on that one. This is normal. Morgan has a 3 skill set, so again, very unlikely for her to ever get demoted, but I feel like she should be a 4-star exclusive. If only for Guard 3 being available at 4-star, which should have been a thing for fucking ever. She also has Attack Blow, which is not a bad skill whatsoever, and Mirror Stance 2, which is... it can be good, it just requires very specific units, outside of, you know, Rest Tank versus Mages, which you have so many of anyway, in a lot of cases. So, I'm going to make her 4-star exclusive. Personally, I feel like she should have been demoted the fucking banner she was released in. Because Morgan actually brought a better skill to the table, being dual ranged, whereas all she brought was basically, look, ma, I got a stance of one of the worst possible combo. Well, not worst possible combo. The Fierce Stance Suspect is very good. The Warding Stance, however, is... I don't want to say horrible, because it's not. It definitely has a whole lot of potential, but it's struggling a bit. Especially on a rest tank. You kind of, like, at that point you would like to have sturdy stance, really, because dragons are a thing. But even then, that would require you to take a hit, which is awkward, which... The other reason I want her to get demoted is because flyer mages are very rare, and she is honestly the worst blue one. Yes, she is a decent rest tank, and yes, that does help her in the long run in certain PvE activities, but if you're talking about PvP, unless she one-shots, it's a detriment, because there's not that many mages at that point. Unless you find a way to run close counter and that stance at the same time, and even then, sturdy stance would actually do something against mages, unlike, you know, mirror stance. Very awkward skill overall, honestly. And yeah, that's just nothing you can really do about. Ishtar is still very fantastic. She has a very good pref weapon, and Flashing Blade is actually what rose her to the top. In my opinion, she is still the best blue mage, and she actually has something going for her outside of got cool big damage, and she also has odd attack wave, which is again fantastic. She also has Wisp Arrow on top of that, which it's a very old skill and should be in the pool, but if you put that in combination with odd attack wave, she should stay 5-star exclusive. No reason not to at that point. Next up, let's talk about the lance units, which I kind of glossed over for the most part. Ephraim is easy, really good buffer, but I feel like at that point, with Erica being at 3 to 4 star, having access to Sieglinde, he kind of lost a lot of his niche. Yes, he hits like a truck, no doubt about it. 35 attack is pretty solid, especially with a weapon that allows you to double, especially with Flame Sigmund giving an extra 3 attack on top of it. But I don't feel like 5-star is warranted. I would actually put him at 4-star. Just because he doesn't exactly have a lot to give. Look at me, Moonbow, Threatened Defense, and some other skill I don't remember because it's just that irrelevant. So yeah, that kind of blows. Sumia should honestly get demoted as well, but I'm going to keep her here just for the fact that it has been a recent addition. She has a double link skill and close defense. Close defense is outdated to this point, but the fact that she has attack def link is still very much relevant, and reprisal lens is also a new lens, so it's kind of hard for me to justify her getting demoted. Next up we have Harden, which the clown, as some likes to dub him. Fantastic unit to this day. In fact, you can actually kill an attacking brave Hector with this man. That is how strong this guy can be. Honestly, when it comes down to Harden versus Hector, it's really about like who attacks first. The one who attacks first loses a lot of times. So, because the one who attacks first allows the other one to proc Aether because of Steady Breath Quick Riposte. So, yeah, fun little thing. Nephany has a very powerful lens, and not to mention on top of it, a very powerful B-slot, should stay in 5-star. Tana is honestly kind of debatable. I feel like she should still stay in 5-star purely because guidance is such a pivotal skill when it comes down to Flyer Emblem. I will also say Vidofnir will most likely get a refine down the line. In fact, I would not be surprised if it would be this month or the next, because I'll be honest, Safeguard kind of exists, and it's basically the same weapon, but sword and refinable. So, oh, and no restriction. Just thought I'd point that out. But even then, guidance is too relevant, sadly. Brave Lucina is a fantastic buffer, should stay in 5-star. To this day she is still the best at buffing the units she buffs. Marth has a good niche as an all-around buffer, but Brave Lucina does it better for certain units, which does give her a sort of niche. Now, Inoka. I know Inoka feels like she should stay in the 5-star pool, purely because Inoka's Spear is such a good weapon. It gives a fantastic amount of mobility, and on top of that she has pretty decent offense. If you go with a Speed Refine, you basically have, well, a plus 10 Cordelia with a 16 might weapon, because you get 4 attack and speed due to the weapon itself, and then an extra 3 speed from the Refine. And on top of that you get 5 HP, so you're a bit more bulky than Cordelia could ever be. She is a fantastic lance flyer as a result, and yeah, I would definitely keep her at 5-star as a result. I would say though, I kind of want to down her purely because Own Flyer is just so quintessential in certain flyer sets. I know I killed 2 Inoka just for that, so that more you know. Next up is the Green Pool Chan. Let's start with Resploy-chan. I think that basically everything I said with Resploy beforehand should be also valid here. Resploy is a fantastic skill, and the fact that it would actually have a bit more in the pool is just really important. I'm not saying it's so important that, you know, you should always use it, but it's actually a very good tool. So I'm actually going to downgrade her to 3 to 4 star. Not to mention her stats are not that great, and while she can actually use an AoE set fairly well, she does not have access to the kind of things that, you know, Merrick does with his refining Excalibur. Dark Excalibur should actually get a refine, honestly, because Sonya is just kinda Julia without the whole I can kill dragons a bit better thing going on. Yeah, it's cool, you get 10 damage on special, but you need to live this long, which 15 defense and 36 HP doesn't tend to really let happen. Unless combat triangle and a safe snipe happens. Next up, I'm going to point out Julia right now. I don't understand why she's left to 5 star. I'm going to put her down to 4 star. She does not have good fodder. She has a lot of attack for Naga, and yes, she does kill a lot of blue dragons. But when you're doing AA, if you're going up against a bunch of plus 10, if your Julia is not really merged enough, I am sorry to say you might miss kills unless you run TA on blue dragons. Yeah. And if you run TA, you have a harder matchup against green dragon. You get the idea. Yes, they are decent dragon killers, but if defense styles are in the mix, they kind of fell at their job, which is pretty saddening. Next up, Minerva. Well, that was kind of a blow to the guts. She has life and death locked at 5 star, which... ah well. I was half expecting it, honestly, because she came at a time where life and death was just such a fantastic skill. So there's that. I completely also forgot to ask for life and death 3 on Jafar, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be locked to 5 star the same way Minerva is. I will actually ask those questions, like the ones that I'm talking about that I'm like, I should have asked this, to J. Ake, just so I basically can post it as a top comment on the video for those who are actually curious. Now, next up is, like I said, Minerva, which honestly has been power crept by Summer Ines, but she is still a fantastic unit and still has a really good weapon, which Ines doesn't have. Sadly, she is very reliant on IVs to actually be able to have a decent enough speed to really abuse her axe, so if she were to down to, oh I don't know, 4 star exclusive, this would not be a problem anymore and Minerva would see a lot more plays. I know I would definitely be merging mine to plus 10 immediately if she was demoted. Next up is Deirdre. Obviously Speedplay is locked to 5 star, but QR is locked to 3 to 4 star. However, unlike QR Chan in red, Leo, Deirdre, just like her daughter, actually has a lot of use due to Naga. I really do hope Naga gets a buff in the long run, because I'll be honest, Divine Naga does not do its job properly. I just want something that negates breaths, or something like this, from dragons. Considering the beast that Marth has, this is not really asking too much, is it? But yeah, they're decent, just not fantastic overall as a result. Next up is Female Kana, which has Fierce Stance 3 available at 4 star, which fantastic. She is not that great of a unit though. If you compare her to Faye, she's basically a physical variant of Faye, with a bit less attack but a bit more speed. I have no idea why she is 5-star exclusive, considering Shigure actually had something new to the table. A bit more bulk, a good enough speed, more attack, and just a slightly better spread, at least for scoring as well, because he was able to hit 161 to 162 BST, unlike Cordelia, which gave him an edge, and by consequences also removed Sumiya's edge from ever happening. So the fact that Shigure exists kind of invalidates Sumiya being in 5-star as a unit you'd build. But oh well, if she's your waifu, go for it. Yeah, that's just normal. So yeah, I would say definitely a 3 to 4-star unit, because I'll be honest, if you're talking about iArena play, they don't have much of a difference. In fact, the fact that she has speeds could be considered as wasted stats in certain cases, because most blue units don't exactly have a whole lot of speed, meaning you double them naturally to begin with. Not to mention, you have Fierce Stance, which requires you to get hit to proc. Quick Riposte is a B-slot, motherfucker, so your speed is kind of pointless as a result, which is a problem. So yeah, 3 to 4-star sounds about right. Now, for those who are curious about Rajad, I can tell you this already. Distant Death 3 would be available at 5-star, which is why I'm going to make her a 4-star exclusive. Savage Blow is the skill that's going to be available as her C slot. So yeah, at 4-star, sorry. I'm still going to put her in 4-star because, like I said, Distant Defense lost a lot of utility, but it would still give like some kind of creative freedom for like stuff like Guard Bow and such, which, while kind of gimmicky, is still an interesting set to run on certain units, which, you know, Raja can't do, but at the very least can fodder the skill. Unlike close defense, distant defense is kind of situational, is the main issue. Amelia as Armor March, which should stay locked to 5-star in my opinion, which is the same thing for Ephraim as well, not to mention Ephraim is able to hit the highest range of score of the entire game, with Res Plus, HP Minus being his best IVs. So, not much of a reason at that point to down him. Dorcas, fantastic unit, and honestly too good for the 3 to 4-star pull or the 4-star pull. Same thing with Brave Ike. Steady Breath by itself should invalidate him ever getting demoted. Myrrh is also a fantastic unit, no questions there, having the BST of an armored unit, and having Great Flame, which, if you are not stupid enough to go speed minus on Myrrh, you can actually plug Bolt Fighter with. Owen is also the best green cav, well, yeah, overall green cav, but best green mage of this game, obviously. Oh, Horse green mage, fucking hell. So, again, not worth going down. Same thing with Nino, again, not worth going down. Grima is a no-brainer, and yeah, that sounds about right for the 5-star pull for greens. Next up is Colorless. Hello, Elise. As usual, healers do not have a passive unlock fully at 4-star. Yay! What a fantastic time this is. So, it would basically give you Recover Plus and Gravity on the same unit, which is definitely welcome, but also give you an option as a damage dealer cav. Because let's be honest, Maribel and just Veronica as a whole kind of invalidated her entire reason of existing, so 4-star exclusive sounds about right. Mist should not be in the 4-star pool as well, the 5-star pool either. In fact, I'd make her 3 to 4-star because Recover Plus again is very solid, and Slow Plus can have its use. Jenny still has Wrathful Staff, and Dazzling Staff is on Maribel as well as Wrathful Staff on Veronica, so none of this should change. Jafar on the other end should actually get demoted, because let's be honest, yeah, it's It's kind of underwhelming, and I do not know what he has at 5-star. Well, at 4-star actually. I believe that would probably be his. What the fuck do you have outside of life and death? I just realized I don't know this. Well, whatever you have, it doesn't matter because I don't remember it. I would say make him 4-star purely because he can be a cool mage counter and also just work as a pain plus healer. That's not fantastic, but at the very least it is something. Next up is Enos, and obviously Enos doesn't have much fodder, does he? He has Cancel Affinity at 4-star, and Fortress Res, which is the most interesting part, is luck to 5-star. His defense is atrocious, and just overall negate any semblance of usefulness he could have ever gotten past the dragon meta. Which is a shame, because his bow is actually really cool and interesting to use in a lot of interesting ways, in a lot of interesting and creative ways. But it is IS, and they kind of fucked that up. Just like dragons in general, ain't it? Or Bold Fighter. But that's another topic, so I would say 4-star exclusive, because even then, it is Fortress Res in the pool, even if it requires 20k feathers. It is better than whatever else this could be. His stat spread is not horrible when it comes down to offense, but he cannot take a hit anyway, so there's that. Faye is another one of these units that should not be a 5-star exclusive. For some reason, considering the legendary banner lineup, they are considering her worth the 5-star treatment, and so good in fact she is worth being a legendary banner, which is worth an investment for whatever reason. Spoiler alert, she's not. So I'll put her down to 3 to 4-star, because I'll be honest here, archers need more bows. They have damn near nothing, which sucks. Alright, next is the more easy part, which is basically just making 3 to 4-star unit 4-star alone. As, well, I'll be completely honest with you, some of them just doesn't bring anything. Anna, for example, gives life and death 2 and obstruct 3. Who cares? Rally attack as well. Who cares? He should be 4-star exclusive as a result. What next? Selif, 4-star exclusive because he does not have any fodder. Ogma, same thing. Corin, same thing as well. Crom, same thing as well. All he has is Aether and Spur defense, which is good for arena scoring, but outside of that, it's rather underwhelming. Elwood just has Pork Cow. Yeah, I'm so glad to get a buff of 4 defense and 4 res for, you know, units that just works better like far away from each other. What a great idea this is. 4-star exclusive. Next up is Marth. Again, not much of a fodder. Spur speed is one of the worst spurs. Escape route is not bad, but he does not have 3 at 4. And on top of that, pivot is basically the best he has overall in fodder, which is not great by any stretch. Ray also should be 4-star exclusive. Lilina also does not have much. She should be 4-star exclusive. Henry has really good fodder, so he should stay in there. Own attack is definitely worth it in general. Own speed 2 and Axe Breaker 3 are good enough. Breakers in general are definitely worth staying in there. Erica brings own speed as well, so it's also worth it. Fortified Flyer and the only source of it, so that's also worth it. Ward Armor, also a great idea in general. Seth as well, which is Fortress Defense, it should stay here. Roy has TA and not much else, but it's still good enough. Fortified Res on Giraffe Neck over here. Darting Blow, but also Rather Blade, again, very important. Bonfire, again, very important. Next up are the blue units. S should be 4-star exclusive, does not have anything interesting to give. I believe she only has a seal, heavy spear, and some random other skill, which... who cares? I think she has Defiant Res, which... oh boy, gotta get that 7 res. Florina is also doesn't have much of a focus either, so let's remove that as well. Oboro should also be 4-star exclusive because rally defense is about as good as it gets, which that's disappointing. Perry has threatened death 3, which is decent enough. Donald's best skill is quite literally Brave Lance or Dragback. So 4-star exclusive would be a decent enough idea. What next? So Leah's drawback, Swordbreaker 2, so let's keep that. Svaki has Quick Riposte. Claire as Rampaya, which is a pretty solid weapon. I would still make her 4-star exclusive though, because not much of a pull over here right now. Next up, what else? Matilda is worth it because of own attack 3. Double rally on Roderick, which yeah, that's good enough. Oscar, double rally again. What else? Katria is Luna, which is good enough. Let's keep it that way. And now we're done with blues. Well, next up are greens. Hector, which is the sole DC fodder, is gonna stay there for fuck's sake. But what about those characters? Well, Raven is pretty solid enough, so he should stay in here. Frederick is also really solid. Shirshi is really good, but requires a bit of investment. So I feel like she's fine where she is. Baruka is the same. Bartray is... it exists. And it's actually decent enough. Sheena I feel like could be 4-star only, but it's too useful for new player and free players. Nino, Cecilia, Merrick. Merrick doesn't have much to give. What else? Gunter as well. No, actually no. It's actually too important for new players. Yola does have some very juicy fodder as well, so that should stay as is. Titania doesn't have much of a fodder either. What else? Arthur as well is not too great. Soren's Water Sweep, good enough. Ignis on Bowie, good enough. Nino is too good for new players. Same thing for Cecilia, so let's keep it as is. What about Colorless? Oh boy, Colorless. I might be bloating the 4-star pool just a tad. Let's just put it that way. Rebecca, worthless. Saizo, not very useful unless you like Poison Strike. Gaius is like Rally Speed at best. Felicia is fine as is. Azama has Pain Plus as well, so that's also good for 4-star exclusive. Actually, no, it's not. I'm stupid. I reversed the roll. Damn it. Lashisis doesn't have much, so 4-star exclusive is good enough. Sarah also doesn't have much, so 4-star exclusive is good enough. Maria also doesn't have much. No. Is the service still relevant? Goddamn, sorry I'm yawning. It is 6 AM after all. And also the heat is knocking me out. Varian also doesn't have much fodder whatsoever. Bow Breaker, Fire Sweep, Iceberg, Death Blow, also QR2, and Brave Bow. George doesn't have much, 4-star exclusive as well. Panic and Rehabilitate Plus as well, not too good. I think that's about good enough. Actually, no, Jacob can also be 4-star exclusive. So, to reiterate, I basically made a lot of 4-star exclusive, but to put it into perspective, if you pull a 4-star, if a unit is here or here, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, they can both be 4-star, so it pulls from both. However, if it's a 3-star, it's limited to this, so you can actually get some sweet stuff that actually gives you fodder that are relevant in some way, shape, or form, which, you know, this wouldn't do otherwise. So, as it stands, this is so much better already. I'll be honest with you, I feel like I might have overdone it for everything outside of red. But at this point, it's basically the first actual cleaning that this would get in months. And it's been like, what, 18 to 19 months? I think it's pretty worth it. This build would actually allow a player to have more options overall, which is not something players really have going on further. So that would be fucking welcome. Also, I just want to get my MILF to +10, which might have influenced a bit of my bias, but I'll be honest here, even then, she is definitely worth it to get demoted, because goddamn can she be useful for new players. So, alright. Do note one thing. While I did show a screenshot of what they have available at 4-star, IS could change their mind on a few of them when and if they make them demoted, obviously. So do keep that in mind. This is not the end-all be-all, but from the information I do know, this is what I think of it. So yeah. As for GHB and Tempest Trial units, I feel like whenever it's been over a year that they exist, they should be added to the pool. A good example here would be, well, basically all those reds here. 4-star exclusive, 4-star exclusive, 4-star exclusive, 4-star exclusive. The reason why I put all of these here is because they are not horrible, but they are not great either. At the same time, this can also give you another source for Iceberg outside of, you know, Niles, which is definitely welcome. Or Armored Blow too, because, you know, Xander doesn't have a skill available at 4-star. He's too much of a dumbass for it. Zephyr also has Life and Death 2, at the very least. Not fantastic, but it's something. And Navarre has Desperation 2 and Blazing Wing. So it would be nice to have in the pool, purely so you have more access to Blazing Wind at the very least for them. And or if you're building a +10 of them, now you can have IVs, and you can actually merge it to +10. Obviously, a full year period sounds about right for a cooldown, so, you know. Like, I know Berkut has been there for a while. I would make him in the 3 to 4-star unit because Berkut's lens is fantastic. Walter also has Panic Ploy, but luck to 5-star. Darting Blow available at 4-star, but also Luna, which is also great, and I would definitely put in the 3 4-star units. Camus has a DC weapon and actual bulk to change the game, which is pretty welcome considering, you know, Cav with some bulk tend to have like either no speed or no attack, which is not the case with this man. So again, I would make him 4-star exclusive in this case because he does have to go Cav and available at 4-star, which is definitely welcome. Neither of these have been here for a full year. I believe Oliver has been here for some time now, but not long enough. Ursula, however, has, so having access to IVs on him, on her would basically mean a second Ursula. She does not have much good skill to add to the pool, however, so that's kind of a dud, but oh well, it is still a decent enough for 4-star exclusive. Remember guys, Blue Mage are not exactly accessible. Narshan would also be interesting to have in the pool, considering he has pretty decent speed, pretty decent bulk, and his attack and speed are salvageable at the very least. I would actually make him as a 3 to 4-star purely because he has Lensbreaker 3 at 4-star, which would be a welcome addition. Next up is Michaelis, very bulky, basically a flying Lucas, but not very good. Having IVs on this dude would actually fix a lot of his issue, which would be definitely welcome, 100%. So you can actually have a bulky boy, and you know, kinda be able to use him somewhat. Legion is also very fantastic, very good stat line offensively, and but only access to Fury 2, which is a shame, to say the least. He also does not have Panic Ploy like the Legion of the actual games, so that sucks. But the fact that he would get access to Ivy would make him actually better than Raven stat-wise. He still doesn't have Basilicos, which obviously is a problem, but oh well, at least he has something. I would also say 4-star exclusive. Next up, female Robin. This needs to be in the pool. Blue Tone Breaker is still not on any character outside of her. This late in the fucking game. Hello? Would definitely be welcome to actually have her in the pool though. Let's be honest here. Grace also has been there for quite some time. So I'd say also 4-star exclusive just because she's just not that great. Doesn't have any fodder outside of, I guess, Glimmer. Oh boy, Glimmer. But yeah, I think that's about it. Tempest, well, actually, Tempest Trial Unit. I guess I could also do these before I fucking fall asleep from warmth. Mars should be 3 to 4 star just because of so much of how much ability he has, and also because he has drive attack too. So yeah, that's definitely welcomed. Next up is Jerome, who is one of the 2 characters that has access to rally attack defense, which not easy to obtain rallies outside of, you know, Tempest Trial units, so it would be fantastic to have him in the pool. Not to mention, this would actually give him a bit more utility, because as is, he's basically a Warshirshi in most ways, if not all. I don't know if it's been a year for this, actually. No, it hasn't. Oops. Well, might as well just rank 5, I guess, with his Def +3. Obviously 4 star exclusive. Doesn't have anything to bring to the table at that point. Marissa would definitely be welcome to see added. I would say 3 to 4 star. It does require 20k for infantry pulse, which is the best thing about her. It would give HP def 2 as well at 4 star at the very fucking least, which is better than whatever we've got right now. And this hasn't been there for a while. Harden has been there for almost a year. Might as well do Arvis as well. Arvis should be 3 to 4 star for deploy. Wait, what? Harden, right. I'm stupid. He should be 4 star exclusive because he's just so good. Also, Drive Def 2 is definitely welcome. Arden is one of the strongest red unit of this game, so definitely should stay where it is. BK. This is a bit of a weird topic to talk about. I would say BK is definitely worth being added to the pool as a 4 star exclusive, purely because of how many 4 star units possible are possible to pull. And he would work as a mini Zelgus and another option outside of Drog, which even then you'd struggle against a male Grima unless, you know, you proc Black Luna. So yeah, the more you know. Close defense Joshua, if at 5 star obviously, but he also has Wind Sweep at 4, which should be in the pool. Obviously, I want this to be 4 star exclusive because close defense is still extremely powerful. Tobin is doing Tobin things and he kind of blows. 4 star exclusive because attack +3 is not great. Masticina, obviously 4 star exclusive. Good enough. I think that's good enough right now. There's not much else to add. This is basically what I would like the pool to look like. This would actually fix a lot of problem with the pool and how summon raids are affected by it. So, yeah. I would like to know what your thoughts of that, what your thoughts of it are, what your thoughts of it are in the comments for those who actually managed to live through my ramble of how much time has this been going for? An hour and almost 40 minutes. Fucking hell. But yes, as usual, Discord will be in the description, and also I will leave a link to JX, not Discord, YouTube channel, since he has been very helpful for this video. So, have a good time, everyone. Have a good day.